All right, welcome, folks. Mil Spec Apps Monkey here. It's going to be 11 a.m. Central Time, coming to you from the great state of Texas. And it is, let's see, 8/31/2022. We are almost through the month. It's amazing how quickly this month has gone. So, all right, now let's hop on over here to the board. Without further ado, we'll start getting into the mix here. We're going to kick it off in Skyglass. Day number 2, we've got some pretty higher or highly elevated numbers. Now we're going to take a gander here and see what's kind of the composition of this stuff. But sitting right now, Mill Aircraft up 526, which is about 2x, a little over 2x what we normally would see. Now let's get into where the numbers are coming from. So we'll take it and sort it by just aircraft in general, and then we'll kind of break it out. So let's see, we've got 56 NAs, the Tex 2s, 56 of those. You have to kind of bundle that with the T-38s down here for trainers, but that's pretty a little bit higher than usual. But let me see here, H60, that number is a little concerning. So we're gonna break that out because that's at 48. That's very, very high. Just so you know, that's not something you normally, 8 to 10 is kind of the range for H60s. Now, those not familiar with what an H60 is, that is a Black Hawk. That's basically, it's a helicopter, a military helicopter. But now this is going to pull in everything around the world, really. But you can see across the U.S. right now, Eastern Seaboard is slammed with H60s. Now, if you see them down here in the Panhandle, that's typically going to be training stuff. We don't have a lot down there, though. It looks to be everything kind of up the Eastern Seaboard, and then we've got sporadic stuff out in this general area. So, again, very, very elevated from that standpoint. We'll continue to watch it, see if it grows or if it shrinks. But anyway, there you have that one. Now, let me get over here. We're going to look at our watch list to start out. Let's go to watch list. Here we go. Now, this is going to just give you, that's Mark Wahlberg, by the way. Looks like he's coming back across the U.S., headed home. Then we've got, it's going to be a Phoenix Air little bird that flies back and forth. We just track all their aircraft if we can. Again, spy balloons, and we've got more than just that one up. We'll look at more in just a minute. Another one, those are going to be Mill Intel, okay? Gathering data on you. All right, little Sentry in the middle, and then just notice it's just kind of a hot mess. That's going to be Homeland Security, those BE-300s. Or sorry, BE-30s. And then that's another balloon. Now, the altitude's showing a lot lower than what it really is, but that happens from time to time. So, score 69, I think that's a, let's see, we'll have to look back at what that is here in just a minute. Spar 14, we got somebody, blue and white, headed across the drink. My guess, maybe to Baghdad to see what happened with that whole situation. We'll look at that closer here in a minute as well. And then let's get over to Europe. As you can see, we've got a B703. Now, that is going to be one of your joint stars. It's a J-star. That bad dude is basically mapping battlefields, right? It's a pretty highly intelligent aircraft, just like the R-135s are. You got a B-52 up. Looks like he is running some routes there. Now, it looks, as you will see here in a minute, I'm going to show you air refueler that's up over that exact same area. It looks like he's just doing circles and getting some fuel over Bordeaux in general, maybe a little south of Bordeaux, but a little E3 up here over the North Sea. That's going to be AWACS, and that kind of does it for Europe. Let me back up and see if we got anything else from a watch list. I think we're good. Of course, those at the top that are going to be your German Air Force. Oh wait, we got a couple drones up. That's a drone over just kind of to the northwest of Tripoli. Now, Tripoli's been going hot. They've got some serious social unrest happening right now, politically involved, I guess. And then there's our Q4 running over kind of the Black Sea area, which we normally expect. But yeah, Tripoli right now is not a good place to be. So just kind of the backstory on everything that's been going on. Remember, we unseated Gaddafi, and then his son is actually running for president and is about to come into power. And so it's caused a lot of havoc over there in Tripoli. Now, also remember, Benghazi was a location that we backed out of, and now the Russians are in Benghazi. So that's a kind of a hot area there in Libya. The Russians have pretty much set up shop in Libya, as like the Chinese have in Afghanistan, as we backed out of there, right? So, okay, let's take a look. We looked at the watch list. Let's get into the heavies you can see we got a lot of activity in the Middle East, a lot more than usual, and that's probably because of the stuff going on in Iraq, as well as to the left over in Egypt and Cairo seems to be heating up in terms of assets. So all the way down into Africa, that's kind of new. We saw that start to pop the other day. So looks like we're starting to deploy some assets into the field there. And then up north into Finland, Sweden, that general area. And we've got reconnaissance going on right over there close to Kaliningrad. So that's just a data point. And we get over to the U.S. East Coast centric. Now, I did this about 20 minutes ago, and that's going to be all your heavy. So it's C-17s, C-130s, East Coast only. Nothing out west yet. So, again, very, very East Coast centric and nothing out here. All right. Okay, over to the refuelers. It almost mirrors the heavies. So take a look at this. Mostly East Coast side. West is basically blank. Again, lots of activity. Now, if you notice, just look for the little tight circles. That's where they're doing the air refueling. What is it? Could be anything. Could be fighters. Could be a lot of stuff. We got a lot of weather in that general area, which is very unusual for them to do the air refueling when you've got thunderstorms and stuff. And we'll look closer at that in a minute. And then this one, notice that's right over Poland. And then we get down here into Portugal and Spain area. Looks like that's where that B-52 was. Remember, just south of Bordeaux. Looks like they're getting some fuel. And then down here off of the toe of Italy, looks to be a lot of refuelers going on there too. Now let's back up a little bit and see. Yeah, we do have one over the Persian Gulf. That's probably feeding fighters in and out of Iraq, if I had to guess, since we just evacuated our embassy the other day. So that'll give you a little better look. And then let me break away from that. Let's get into our storyboard here and kind of start painting the picture. Again, that's pretty remarkable for H-60s. I've seen it go upwards of 80 at one point during when Trump was in. Haven't seen this kind of activity. East Coast is just popping right now. That's pretty wild to see. Okay. Let's get over and take a look at the volcanoes. We did have one more that was up here that just dropped off. Now, that is 8 volcanoes. There is a duel right here. You can see, as you get a little closer, you get Ibu and Ducano both firing right now. Those are going to be ash alerts. And you get down here just to the east of Jakarta, the Semeru is firing. You can see that little ash alert right there too. So those are all kind of popping and clicking. And then we get over here near Papua New Guinea, and that one is going. Now, Japan's not got anything. And then we get over here to this side. We got one in Mexico. I don't even try to pronounce these words anymore because I sound a lot like Flashbang when I start rambling, trying to push that out. And it just doesn't happen. So I'll just mouse over it and you can sound it out. All right. Guatemala Fuego, that one's been on and off, but seems to be popping right now. And then down here, Ruiz in Colombia, just to the west of Bogota. And then down here in kind of the Peru area, Bolivia in general. So these are actually a lot less than normal. We normally get about 4 or 5 all the way down into Chile. So, okay, we'll keep our eye on that. If you look at the flights that they're tracking, this is going to be an R-135 more than likely. If I had to guess, it's out over the Black Sea. And then this is Spicy 31. That's our call sign. It really looks like we got a lot of B-52s out over Europe that we're starting to do some presence on, which is a very interesting deal because you normally don't see that. So this is very unusual. So just could mean that we're getting a little closer to our war footing. So, all right, let's get over here to this article real fast. This is a food crisis. They're asking the question. This is Doug Casey's International Man website. The question is food crisis over or just getting started? I will tell you, it is just starting to breach. So it is... we're nowhere near where this is going. But I wanted to point out this because I found it to be very, very interesting. Notice here that this is from the UN, and this is what they said about hunger has a great positive value on to many people. Indeed, it is fundamental to the working of the world's economy. Hungry people are the most productive people, especially where there is a need for manual labor. That was pushed from the United Nations. Yeah, folks, this is all part of the plan. As I've shown you over on the Great Reset, every bullet that's on there is starting to come into play right now. And it's just simply amazing. You may remember we go back 6-7 months, And we had onesie twosies of the bullets popping on there. It was forced migration, whatever it may be. And now today it is almost the entire thing is going hot. And so if you're not familiar with what I'm talking about, it's this little spider chart, so to speak, right? Climate action failure right in the middle. But if you go to the right, you got global governance failure, down below it, national governance failure, social instability, and then you can see the economics piece of this start to tie in. So pay close attention to it. This right here, this is your energy cost. I will vouch for that, as many of you can as well. I will tell you my water bill has tripled, if not quadrupled, and my energy bill has gone from an average monthly billing of about, I don't know, $400 upwards to about $1,200. So it has tripled itself. And yeah, you can definitely feel that when it comes in. So pretty scary where this is all going, but you're definitely going to see a big separation between the haves and the have-nots. No doubt about it. All right. So we talked a little bit about the watch list, the refuelers, the heavy lifts. One thing I was going to point out before we get into the weather side of this, so we talk about the crisis, we talk about the shortages. One thing I will point out, and I will tell you, I just mentioned it the other day, how my air conditioner went kaput. The guy came out, same company I've been using for 20 years, sold me on a new unit because my unit was about 20 years old. Well, turns out they couldn't get the new replacement unit. And this is an American Standard air conditioner, and it is, lead time is, they're estimating, this is from the manufacturer, January. So you can imagine if your unit actually did freeze up and lock up. Now, I've got mine Band-Aided and it's working great, but it is a data point for all of us because if, I'm in a pretty big DFW Metroplex, and it's a company that's been around for 40 years. Their supply chain and suppliers are pretty solid. And so, when you start talking about AC units, you can't even get them because it's not the parts, even though everything's manufactured here in the U.S., it's the chip boards, the motherboards that go into them. Can't get them. And so now you're talking lead times of, 6 months out for an AC unit. So yeah, we're definitely starting to see the shortages across the United States in a whole bunch of different commodities. So HVAC is just one that's taking it in the shorts right now. So, okay. Now, in case you missed it, I want to point, actually, let me come back to this piece of it because this is very important. Yesterday, we had a Y-20, which if you're not familiar with that aircraft, it's a Chinese copy of the C-17. As a matter of fact, it looks so close to C-17, you have to double take to make sure you're not looking at a C-17. It's very, very interesting how they come up with their stuff. You can probably thank the Clintons for that one, but nonetheless, this Y-20, you may remember about 3 months ago, we had them fly into Serbia and deliver a whole bunch of air defense missile systems. Looks like they've come back in for another round, but I caught this one yesterday morning. Notice right here, you'll see Sofia. It's over Bulgaria, but notice Sofia right there. Sofia is a very large U.S. NATO base. Okay, our presence is pretty big there, up as well as Bucharest and that general area. So that plane flew just to the north of our military operation there, and then went into Serbia and then flew back out. So just a heads up. Somebody may report on it that they took delivery of other stuff, but we actually caught the flight yesterday briefly. So, okay, now let's go back over here. We're going to bounce away from that. We talked food shortage. Let's talk about weather modification stuff and NOAA. Notice this one, it looks to be taking off. This is NOAA 56. Again, notice there's nothing down here. When you look at the board and the ID, nothing in here, right? It's blank. So, which is kind of unusual. You see that with the camber flights. You may see that with some of the other military style stuff, but not this one. So anyway, this is just south. I think if you kind of get into it, just to the right of that, about where it says NO, is where the HARP is located. Okay, so this one looks to be taking off, headed southbound, and we'll watch it and see if it ends up doing anything around the HARP area. But again, something to watch. And let me back up and see if we got any others. Yeah, we do have one. It looks like it's just getting airborne down here out of Florida. So we'll watch that one too here, see what it does. Over to the NASA side of the house, just to show you what's going on out over the water. This is a watch area. If you get into this, this is my radar. Again, you'll see the watch zones. These aircraft are out here basically running in the area, probably checking out the storm. More than likely, those are going to be Hurricane Hunter type of things. But as we're in here looking at this, just notice you got another one coming off the coastline. This one looks to be developing. Won't impact the U.S. too far. That'll be coming across over into probably Spain and Europe and et cetera, depending on how high up it goes. But then you get down here south of Mexico. Look at that, to the west of Mexico, 2 systems developing. So we may have a twofer. So if you're in Hawaii, you're probably going to get some pretty good surf here in the next couple weeks, back to back to back. So should be good. And then down here in the Caribbean, we'll see if this comes up. Actually, it's looks to be headed into the Atlantic. So eastern seaboard will have to watch out. Probably won't get to our coastline just because you got this low pushing off. That'll probably tilt that thing back up and send it this way. All right. So from a rain perspective, yeah, it's been it's pretty crazy. We are getting a lot more here in Texas now, and of course Mississippi, as you watch the weather and their water crisis going on there. Okay. All right. Let me back out of this and back away from this. Let's get over to this side of it. Now, this is where I'm going to talk a little bit about the cargo ships because it is very important. These are all unspecified. This is off the coast of China. I'm pointing these out because it is an obscene amount of ships. This is cutting out. You can see the line right here. But if you kind of zoom in and give it a second to marinate, you'll see that it is very, very populated with ships sitting out off of there. These are, again, this is an early indicator that your supply chain is broken, that you're not going to be getting replens probably for a while. So, but this, pay attention to that. And here's why it's important. Check this out. This is confirmed. This is actually from Forward Observer. They just did a write-up on this, and I grabbed it. China conducts military combat training aboard civilian ships. So it says that the PLA recently embarked its 79th Air Defense Brigade aboard civilian container ships to prepare for their use in combat operations. All right. So just pay very, very close attention to that. What they're saying, you talk about Club Ks, you talk about bringing a sea of soldiers potentially undetected like a Trojan horse right into your country. That is how they'll do it. And so keep an eye on that because that's a very important data point. Okay, let's get back away from that. But just confirmation as we watch these unspecified ships that we need to be paying very close attention, especially if we start seeing them coming across the drink. All right. Okay. Speaking of China, Taiwan fired defensive shots at China drones for the first time. So yeah, this just note the drone aspect of this. Things are starting to go very AI, very droney, almost like Terminator. But just pay attention to it because you can see this guy going hot right there. That'd have been kind of fun. But nonetheless, the Chinese are going to keep pushing until they take that spot. When you know it, it's coming. All right, over here to Flashbang as we talk about dumpster fires. This is the latest. This is for today, August 31st. He doesn't have anything on the docket. Looks to be just doing regular briefings. And it looks to me, if I get back over to this side of it, he is headed home again for the weekend up here. So we'll just leave it at that. All right. Now, speaking of idiots, here's one for you. Biden warns gun owners, you need an F-16 to fight the government. F-15, which is kind of timeless when you think about it because they don't really fly F-15s anymore. There may be some guard units that still have them, a couple other maybe external countries. But that's a pretty aged aircraft. It's been replaced. The F-18 is out there now. If he was kind of a knowledgeable guy, you would say, all right, you'd think he'd quote F-35s, right, instead of an F-15. It just goes to show you how disconnected and out of touch this dude is, right? But let me just say this. If you haven't started reading and kind of getting dialed in, the reason I say he is clueless is because of this. If you get down to let me see here. We're going to just show you some of the books you ought to be reading right now because they're tied to guerrilla tactics. Now, I recommend these because I've read them. I pull them off of Amazon. Very good books to read. You can see this Smart book, Small Unit Tactics. Very, very good. A lot of illustrations, a lot of different things that'll help you kind of get guided. And then you've got here the resistance operation concept. This is all about guerrilla warfare tactics, working off radar, kind of staying low and out of sight, right? And so this is, again, books I would recommend because when I say he is out of touch, you go look at any other country around the world, and the guerrilla tactics are how they take over governments, right? You don't need an F-15 to go take over governments or to go against the government. Guerrilla tactics will do plenty, all right? And so these books, I do recommend them. They are very good. They're very wordy, and I will tell you, they're very dry. You're not going to be reading a Tom Clancy novel. These things are going to be almost like an operating manual. So just FYI, but if you want 3 good books that you want to add to your quiver and just get knowledge on the concepts and how they work, they are very informative, and they will help you in your decision-making, to say the least, all right? Okay, so we get away from that dumpster fire. We get over to this side of it. Biden administration readies 1.1 billion arms to Taiwan. Yeah, we're now just pumping stuff in. We've got proxy wars going. This is going to bite us, believe me, as we continue to pump money out into both sides, Ukraine and this end of it. So it looks like we're sending money there. And then check this out. Now, this is one that we ought to all, this ought to throw up a lot of flags. But the Pentagon stockpiles are uncomfortably low, as they're saying, amid Ukraine transfers. Yeah, even the troops are starting to say, hey, we need this stuff in case we go to war, because we are now starting to deplete our inventory levels to record levels, and we're basically exposing ourselves, okay? Stupid is as stupid does. And now that's one part of it. Hang on, let me make sure I got, yeah, I'll come back to this next one here. This one here, this is actually one of the troops speaking out a couple days ago. More reports as they surface. Pentagon demilitarizing U.S. armies to shovel weapons into Ukraine's black hole with no accountability. This is a guy talking right here. He just said, straight out of the horse's mouth, that all of the ammo that was allotted to his regiment for training this year has basically been sent to Ukraine for tubes and rockets. So we're being played to become defenseless. That is from a soldier, folks. All right, now back over here to defenseless. The banana copter. Just check this one out. U.S. Army grounds entire fleet of Chinook helicopters. I find it interesting. I will tell you there are a couple up right now, but they're over the U.K. For some reason, the U.K. isn't having the same issues as we are. But that right there is a workhorse. To see that thing get taken out of service and offline, definitely a little bit of a concern. All right. Now let's get over here to our NOTAMs, Notice to Air Missions. And I know some of you were kind of tilting your head thinking, did he just mispronounce that? Because it used to be airman. But no, we got to be politically correct now. So they have. You can see what's going on out here. We do have a box off the coast of San Francisco. That area looks like a Bravo 3 week something. I don't know. It looks like that is going to be maybe some rocket testing or missiles. Got stuff off the shore of California, all the way up. It looks like north of LA, all the way down to Baja. And then, of course, here in the center of the United States, you can see we've got, this one seems to be a permanent move. Lots and lots of military exercises. Almost all of these are military exercise related. And then you got some stuff going off the Florida coast here. For some reason, they're calling this a danger area. So that's what these are up here too. So it kind of makes you wonder what exactly they are up to call those danger areas. But nonetheless, there is that side of it. Now we get over here to Europe. You will see Northern England, a big exercise going on here. We get up off of this area too. I think this right here is tied to the Ruskies. It is a temporary RA activated, and notice it's off of this area too. I believe this is tied to the Russians, but this one maybe not. This could be the Finns doing some stuff. But nonetheless, I do think this is Russia because this is Finland. So yeah, that's going to be all Russian related. Looks like they got exercises going on there. All right, and so let's get over to let's talk Iraq real fast. Let's kind of get into what we're talking about. The green zone. If you're not familiar where this location is, this is the Tigris River right here that just kind of runs through. This is the Baghdad airport. This is the green zone. This is the area that I think we actually are occupying or in. But nonetheless, there are reports saying that Iran is now closing their border with Iraq. Flights pause from Gulf carriers on new fears of a civil war. Let's pull the thread on this because I want to show you if the airport was closed, you had the green zone. Now I see some pictures and it's probably a Titan shot. It's probably not nearly as bad as they said, although my understanding from the photos we saw, they actually evacuated the embassy and took people to probably down, if I had to guess, into the Middle East area of probably Qatar or Doha, somewhere where they were safe. But just in case it went hot, I haven't heard anything else on the U.S. embassy there in Iraq. But they say they closed the borders, and I just want to show you it's not closed. This is all. Remember when we watched Ukraine and Kiev, and everybody was talking about flights being disrupted, and we showed you the board. I said, this is how you know when the war goes hot, because the board will go blank. If you go to Kiev today, there's nothing on the board. There's no flights going in and out of that airport or anything else in Ukraine for that matter. Okay, this is Baghdad, and you can see it is chock full. So very, very active. So this article about them shuttering the flights and nothing coming in and out, not necessarily accurate. Okay. All right, but speaking of Iraq, if we get into it, you could see this is going to be Iraq. This is going to be, let's see, this is your border area. This is where a lot of the attacks have been going back and forth over into Iran. And let's see what this little hover over this. Close its land border with Iraq. So that's Iran. So this is over here. They're not letting people in. So, okay, so that's going to be that part of it. Let's go over to Syria. See if we got anything new. This was the area that went hot from the U.S. military perspective. It's still hot, to my knowledge. But if you get into Syria, remember, you've got the Russians, the Turks, and the Iranians all messing around in here. As soon as the U.S. vacated, ISIS moved in, as did those other three, right? Turkey, Iran, and Russia. They all kind of moved into the area. That's why Damascus is so critical, because as these guys start to occupy this, you hear the Syrian president talking about, hey, quit taking shots at Israel from within my country because they are retaliating and they're destroying my country. So Damascus, you can see how close that really is to Israel here, Lebanon to the north. But that's a spot that Isaiah 17, it'll disappear one day. We'll wake up and it'll be a ruin heap. Okay. So let's look at Ukraine as we're looking across the activity maps. This is not populated, but we've got strikes, or at least sirens for strikes, all the way to the western border of Ukraine. And we'll continue to watch that area as it continues to expand. Very, very slow, not too much in terms of making headway. Of course, we do see them in here. And then, of course, we know they're up here in Belarus. And then we know this is Russia right here, because that's Kaliningrad. Of course, we know there's supposedly a naval blockade in here, although I can't see anything that would indicate that. And of course, our aircraft are flying routes over Latvia, Lithuania, and Estonia, all up in here, really looking at the borders here, probably down here into Belarus and over here into Kaliningrad. Because remember, they just put their fighters in here with nuclear cruise missiles on them. So. And then let's back up just a tad. This is, okay, so this is Finland. This is Russia. So that is, and this is Russia. So that area here that we were looking at to the north, this is all Russian, basically telling people stay out of the area, okay? So, okay, well, that's good. We circled the wagons on that one. All right, now just adding more insult to injury. The first of hundreds of Iranian drones have been delivered to Russia for Ukraine war. That is coming from the Pentagon. This is what the little dudes look like. Notice it does have some armament on it, and kind of neat. Probably got a G.I. Joe strapped into here, but nonetheless, it's a little prop job, so you can hear them. It's not going to be quiet, but I imagine if you're hearing it, you're probably about to get popped. So, all right, over to cyber attacks. Now, this one pay attention to, because the U.S. right now, and I don't know if you've noticed your stuff is getting a little slow, internet's acting up, things like that. But we are being peppered. Notice it's all coming centrally into kind of Texas, right there in the center of the U.S., but it is popping out here to coast as well. But notice they are all independently inbound coming to us from all around the world. Asia is really peppering us, as is Europe. So, yeah, more to come on that, no doubt about it. All right. Okay. We'll start talking about this. One thing I did want to show you, because we were talking about the fact that I guess the DOJ released the documents of what they found in Trump's safe. I will tell you, all they were cover sheets and then blocked out sections. They were pretty much useless. They could have been blank sheets of paper under it because you couldn't see anything there of substance. So you just never know. They could be really just making this stuff up. The fact that they put all the cover sheets on top. You need the cover sheets. That's a proper way to transport. So, but nonetheless, I thought it was kind of comical. But I just want to show this aspect of it. We are being heavily manipulated. Don't think for a second they aren't using CGI and all the other stuff to basically tell us a story that doesn't really exist, okay? Here, I want to just show you a further illustration. Now, I've shown you things with the ISIS and the orange jumpsuits and all the other rubbish, how they're using CGI to manipulate us and with the deep fakes. And some of you have seen this video. We get to the 12-second mark. Watch as this guy's walking up right here. Look at his hands, okay? And watch the microphones and how the microphones all of a sudden go across, back and forth across his hands, okay? So here we go. This is just one of many totally made up CGI stuff, okay? And I blocked the sound because what they're saying is irrelevant, doesn't really matter. But watch his hands right here. Ready? Microphone. It's not even, I mean, give me a break. Did you see it again? Let's watch it one more time. Look at the hands. Look at the microphone. This is from, here we go. Whoa, what just happened? What just happened? Complete, total fake, okay? So I'm just pointing this out because they are using CGI to manipulate us. They're stuff that the general public will never catch that. Now that is an older video, and there are many, many more, but I wanted to pull it out of my quiver because it's one that I saved, and I had to get a good laugh out of it because it's so bad. Obviously, they've got some interns in there working. Actually, no, this can't be interns. These got to be the older folks because the millennial interns would have gotten that right, okay? So, but nonetheless, just want to show you from a data point that we are being manipulated on a regular basis. Don't believe everything you see, all right? Now, this is going to be Biggs Army Airfield. We saw a little bit of a lull, and it still looks like that. We've got one flight inbound from Fort Worth, and we got it leaving here. That's a camber flight. That is troops, okay? These other flights, besides this Reach coming in from McGuire, that's probably supply stuff. That could be some troops or equipment, or it's coming empty to pick up some stuff and take it out. I don't see it on a departure, but that's probably a C-17 that came in under the Reach call sign, okay? All right, over to Ramstein. Very, very busy. You're going to notice on this side of it, we've got quite a few aircraft coming in. CNV, that's Navy Logistics. That's an Atlas Air. That's a troop, 33rd Air Base. That's coming out of Poland. 33rd Air Bases, I believe that's in the region where they put the F-22s, F-35 stuff out there. I think it's kind of like in the center of Poland. But that one came inbound from there. That's a camber flight, so because of the designator, more than likely that's troops. Okay, and then you get over here to the outbound. Here it is. This one is that same camber flight, looks to be bolting out of there. Got another Reach. There's the Navy one headed to Stockholm. And then another camber flight down here, Baltimore, Washington. So just give you a general idea. It has not lit up at all. We don't see the big influx like I thought we would see, but hey, that's okay. We are tracking it. It is a steady stream of troops, and maybe because they just don't have the bodies to put into it. So who knows? Maybe that's why we got the immigration flights coming across the border. All right. So nonetheless, let's see here. This is going to be the Ruskies. We've got two flights up right now, 540 and 698. These are going to be two that are new. I was already tracking two other flights. This is one that was took off out of Sochi, came back to Sochi, And it landed, actually, let's see. Yeah, no, it just disappeared. So probably in the water. I'm just kidding. That one took off and killed its transponder. And then this one here is going to be the SFD R112. Landed a day ago, also coming out of Sochi up to Moscow. The reason I'm pointing that one out is because we've had a lot of flights going in and out of Sochi. And so we just keep an eye on that, because my understanding is that where a lot of negotiations, like Turkey's meeting them there and several other countries. So it's just a data point for us, okay? All right, Camber flights. I got 5 of them up right now. So that's 5 sets of troops bugging out. This one's coming out of, that's the one we just saw out of Biggs Army Airfield. Probably going to bounce across the drink. It'll probably come into Ramstein, if I had to guess. And then we got one here also just headed southbound out of Ramstein. That's at cruising altitude, 35,000 feet, 520 miles an hour. Headed southbound, more than likely, given that altitude and where it is currently located. Could be headed either down into Doha, could be... which will do Doha be over here. So no, probably more like Cairo, somewhere in that general area. But nonetheless, we'll watch it. And then you got one Osan Air Base that's out here. That's going to be in this general area. So these are, we're just sending them to both sides of the drink, spreading ourselves way too thin, giving all our equipment out, and spread thin. This is not, I'm telling you, this is not a good situation to be in. This is actually a very bad situation, because if our enemy was ever going to strike, you'd let us deplete ourselves. You'd bury us on our supply chain, which China is doing right now. You'd drive our energy costs up, collapse our economy, our supply. All you got to do now is kill our comms, and you're off to the races. So pay close attention. Now, this one here is interesting. This is Omni coming out of South America. So they're down here, just looks like in Brazil. So headed to the Texas border. Imagine that. Now, I haven't seen a lot out of Omni lately. Again, these guys serve 2 masters. That's definitely immigrant related. Okay. And so rolling out of, looks like Harlingen or Valley. And it looks like it's coming back to Valley. So that's right on your border. So that's a big plane, 767-300. So if they took a boatload down here to South America, maybe, or they're bringing them in, one or the other. Man, it would be nice to know. I wish we had somebody that had eyes on these jets when they landed at the border. That's intel that would be worth its weight in gold. All right. Okay, over here to the Brits. As you can see, that's going to be in Cyprus. Looks like that took off out of Cyprus. Currently at 29,000 feet. Looks to be headed down here into the Middle East, into the UAE, Qatar, that general area. Then this one here looks to be coming out. It's climbing out. Probably, if I had to guess, out of... Oh, where did you come out of? Let's see here. It should be on the board. No, it's not. So, nonetheless, anyway, heading out of Europe and headed back to the UK. All right. All right, here's your immigrant machine. I'm telling you, look at this, folks. Look at the amount of flights. Now, this one is always interesting because it comes out of Miami and goes up here to, where is that headed? Cincinnati, Kentucky International Airport. Really makes you kind of wonder, doesn't it? What is going on up here? So, okay. And then this one looks to be coming out of Phoenix. And look at all the Valley flights headed down south. Wow. It's a lot of immigrant flights. My guess, because Customs Border Patrol will not respond to me, is that these guys are up to something no good. They could be bringing people into the country as a path to citizenship. You put them in the military, not something we haven't done in the past. We did it in World War II. And then they go out and basically fight for our country and earn citizenship. So that could be a path they're taking. Given the fact that the border crossers are about 65% single, and that a lot of them are military age male and females, would not surprise me in the least. Okay. All right. And then this is going to be another one, just like the last. This is an immigrant flight. This is World Airlines, World Atlantic Airlines, taking off out of Central America, coming up to what looks to be McAllen. And so the big question is, when it lands, if you're in the McAllen area, this plane's coming inbound, looks to be arriving at about 11:40 Central Time. World Airways, it's you can see it on the aircraft. It's not hard to recognize because they don't have a lot of them. But if you got eyes on this, I'd be really interested to see if people get off. Because if people are getting off this aircraft as it comes into McAllen, that means they are importing people, okay? So eyes on it. Man, it'd be really interesting to see, even if an airport cam, you could catch it and see if people get off. Because if anybody gets off of this, that means they're bringing people in. If it's just flight crew getting off and it's empty, that's what you want to see. That means they're taking people out of the country. But if it's not, then that confirms our suspicions. Okay. So I think I have everything covered there. We talked about it. Yep. I think I'm looking at my scenes in OBS, just making sure I covered it because it's powder packed. So like a keg over here, powder keg. So, all right, listen, that's going to be it for today. Don't forget we got Q&A over for those folks in the chat. We'll see you over there in just a couple minutes. Everybody else, keep that powder dry. Stay frosty. Let's go, Brandon. God bless. Monkey out. Check out the latest gear and products at monkeywerxus.com.